of the originals? And when you guys were approached for this, was it something you jumped on right away, or was it like a dream come true in a sense, working with Robert and even such a new network as El Rey?
Yeah, for me, I remember I was sick. I was in the pharmacy, and I was buying cold medicine, and my phone rang, and my agent called me and said, "Hey, our meeting came up very last minute. Can you be at this address in an hour?" And I was like, "No, I'm sick. I need like a week. I'll call you when I'm feeling better." And he's like, "Well, it's Robert Rodriguez. He wants to sit down with you." I was like, "Does he need anything from the pharmacy? I'll be right there." Because I'm a giant fan of Robert's. I always have been. You know, he's one of the directors that is the reason I wanted to become an actor with some of the stuff he's done. So, you know, I went into it just excited at even the possibility of trying to get a job for him. And we sat down and he chatted with me about his network and his vision for it. And it was amazing, man. You know, if you're a fan of Robert's, he wanted to create a place that is a network of his creative influences and his tastes and his films. So I was sold. And then when he told me about Dusk and then he wanted to revisit it, I was over the moon. You know, I'm a giant fan of the film. And it can be intimidating to take on the mantle of something that's so iconic, but I think we see that a lot these days, more and more. And also we have a very special privilege here in that we're not doing it with somebody else doing a reinterpretation.
Right.
It's Robert himself revisiting his own property as our director, our editor, his hands on every part of the creative process. So to get to play this character in this project with Robert himself as an actor and as a fan, it's a no-brainer. You know? And we just go to work every day, do the best we can,
and we're happy to go to work. Like, there's a lot of jobs that I've done that like fuck, I gotta go to work today. This sucks. Which is kind of terrible and ungrateful. Just being an actor, you're kind of grateful to every job you have. But you know, there's some gigs that are just money gigs, and you're hoping to pay some bills. But this job, you know, everyone took a pay cut. No one's getting what they usually get for TV shows or whatever our work is. Our quote, let's call our quote. So nobody's getting it because it's a startup network. It's Robert's baby. It's our baby too, really. And we just wanted to work with Robert. Robert's such an iconic filmmaker, and I was a huge fan from the very beginning. And I never, even before I even wanted to be an actor, I never really wanted to be an actor. And I was watching El Mariachi. I had the tape, and when I got the call to meet with him the first time, like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, yeah, I'll be there, whatever. Rush hour in LA, I'll be there. I'll be there a couple hours early just to sit in the car and kind of hang out. And then when I finally booked it, it was like a whirlwind thing. It was like, I had a call back on a Friday, booked it Friday night, got on a plane Sunday, was in front of, sitting across the diner table from Don Johnson Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. So it was a whirlwind type of experience. And you know, it's a dream come true for me too. It's like this is working with one of my favorites and learning from one of the best. And you know, get to work with these guys. These guys are all great.
Yeah, it looks like you guys have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and luckily we all like each other. We actually genuinely like each other.
Yeah. It's not a soundbite for press. It usually is, I promise. No, we all get along. And again, like, it's just the environment that Robert sets up. You know, he's one of the godfathers of independent film. You know, way back in the '90s, and that spirit still lives on very much in Austin at Troublemaker, where we shoot the series, and you know, the way Robert works. We're far away from LA, we're far away from New York, we're far away from the industry. It's very familial. The crew that we shoot with is primarily the same crew Robert's been using for the majority of his career. Everybody knows each other. They have a working rhythm and a speed. It's quick.
Speed is fast.
Yeah. And we just do everything by instinct. Like, you know, there's no wrong answer, and we get ownership, very strong ownership of our characters, and Robert really trusts us to just come up with the best ideas we have, and he protects us and makes it look really good. So it's creatively, it's by far the most satisfying job I've ever done.
Actually, I have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
So From Dusk Till Dawn has a massive cult following. Going into season 2, do you feel there's any trepidation where you're building upon the mythology of characters like Seth Gecko, who
Yeah.
was in the first film, and a character like Jesse, who's an original character for the series. Do you feel like, as an actor, you have more freedom to create, or you're more handcuffed to the idea of what came before?
I think, honestly, getting to the point we are now in the second season was always the design, because you know the characters obviously are very iconic, and you feel like that movie just came out because it's so popular and it's so powerful. You know, I'm one of the fan base that's very precious about the properties I care about, and this one's no different. So by design in the first season, we retread a lot of moments and then expanded on them to reintroduce to the audience the characters, the world, the relationships. But the goal was always to get to the second season, because the reason I think Robert was excited and all of us were excited to re-explore this world was to take it into new places. And in order to do that, we got to get past what was established in the film. So by the time we get to the second season, everybody's just really excited. You know, it's not there's no problem of being afraid of that. I think it's more of it's like a embarrassment of riches. You know, we can do no wrong. You know, so it's about creatively trying to figure out what makes sense for the character as an area to explore. You know, but what are the boundaries? Like, if you go too far in one direction, are you rewriting it too far to where it kind of becomes a different character that doesn't still feel like the person it should, you know, and I think we strike a really good balance. And again, we're doing it with Robert, so there's kind of no wrong answer.
And there's some cool stuff with the mythology of the Mesoamerican mythology and all that. We're actually staying true to some of that stuff. And it's like I'm learning a bunch of stuff. Like some of it's, you know, it's a little bit of creative license to do some of these things. But I didn't know some of this stuff existed, and I see some of these books, and I've gone to like flea markets or whatever, and I see these books, and I would text them to Carlos Cotto, our showrunner. He goes, "Yeah, we got those." I'm like, "Of course you do."
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was just them making stuff up, making shit up for the show. But then it's funny. I caught a couple like shows on Discovery Channel one time. I'm like,
"Wait a minute,
it's real?
Yeah,
that was just Jake Busey just rambling. That's actually real." So. And you know, the last shot of the film is that cool pullout where you finally see the back of the titty twister. You see that it's this giant temple. And Robert has that painting hanging in one of the main rooms at Troublemaker. And he's been staring at it for 20 years, and he had a lot more material for the original Dusk film that he just couldn't fit into the story. So, you know, he's been thinking about this and extrapolating on it, and we're lucky enough to be the recipients of that drawer with all the dust opening, and we're getting to bring all those ideas to life.
Wow, I watch it as a fan, and I see the stuff that everyone's doing. Like throughout the series, I'm kind of a lone wolf throughout this thing. I'm the law guy and this crime saga. So I'm either chasing these guys or I'm trying to figure something out. So when I see these guys' performances, and I'm like, "Oh shit, that was really cool!" Like, I call them, "Hey man, that was awesome!" Like, yeah, no.
Is that me or Zane?
Like a combination.
Yeah, we're morphing into the same person.
So being in it, I as a fan, I'm enjoying watching the show as well. And I don't like watching my own.
I hate it, man.
Shows.
But this I like watching.
Yeah, me too.
This I like watching.
Yeah.
I'm loving the dialogue.
Yeah.
I love that scene where you're like, met your friend.
Yeah, it's episode 2, right? Yeah.
I love these monologues that you do, these soliloquies. I was just wondering, like, how do you two find the tone, the rhythm? Do you practice or together, or do you do it?
Well, for the first season, I know, you know, the majority of this stuff was Zane and I kind of bouncing them back and forth to each other, and Zane and I worked on, like, we just did the work. To be honest with you, we shoot the show really quickly, and we did with not a lot of prep. So we really took it upon ourselves to try and not fuck up. And you know, every night, Zane and I would get together and we'd just ramble our dialogue back and forth. It's kind of like that scene in Reservoir Dogs. You know what I mean? Like, watch Reservoir Dogs, and that's literally what we did. We would just ramble and walk around in a circle and ramble to each other till we didn't even have to think, and we had it. And
was it one of the first? I think it was the first take or one of the first takes where you and Zane were walking from the car to the convenience store. It was like Robert goes, "Fuck, that's how they're gonna do it." Shit, like they didn't mess up. I think they ended up using the first take.
We were the first shot of us together in the walk and the talk was the first day, first shot, first take
for them,
for us, and it just kind of clicked and. You know, it's just like there's no interesting ethereal answer. We just sit in a room and we clunkily say the dialogue to each other until it feels right, and you know, kind of dissect it enough so we understand it, and we all get giant pieces of material.
Yeah.
You know, everybody kind of works differently.
Well, the first season they set us up in these condos, so we had our own little Melrose.
It's like Melrose Place with bloods and guns.
Yeah, and so we would have big days, and we'd go to one of each other's condos and rehearse with each other. So it was like, you know, we all put in a lot of work, and nobody wanted to be that person that fucked up. You know what I mean? Especially being in a Robert Rodriguez show, and you wanted to live up to his name and live up to the name of the show. And so it was, at the end of the day, your answer to your question is we just put in the work.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, like there's no mistakes here, and Robert makes us all feel that way. So this is the first time. You know, when you get to a job, your director has a certain opinion, or the project you're working on has a certain tone, and you need to try and work hard to stay within those parameters. So it's like trying to color in between the lines, you know. And I expected that very much with this, but Robert really trusts us to just go for it. So you know, he's big on following your instincts, and he's big on reminding everybody that there's no such thing as a mistake. And when it comes to big verbose pieces of dialogue, that is a huge gift, because when you feel that safe to just go nuts and try ridiculous shit, that's, you know, it works better, and you find the natural vibe of it faster, and I think you have more fun with it. And at the end of the day, if we're having fun, I think it translates better, and it just makes it more enjoyable.
These guys kill it. Him and Zane, they fucking kill those motherfuckers. I can't do that. They don't get. He's like, give me a couple words here and there. It's like, all right, cool. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Give me a little of that one.
I want to ask you two guys about your characters. Do you feel like Seth is sort of getting some closure with himself this season in ways that he developed, especially in the most recent episode?
Yeah.
And
7, you mean?
Yeah. And how does Freddie kind of feel about his role as peacekeeper in this whole insane situation?
I think he's still kind of resisting a little bit, but I think he's still coming to terms that he has to do this. He's got to do it because he wants his family back. You know what I mean? So that was one of the lines, like, you do what you got to do, and then we'll come back. Something like that. I don't remember. I barely remember my lines. And so I think he's coming to terms with it, and I think for me, as just that me playing Freddie, it's a lot of fun. You know, you get to discover a bunch of different things about him, and little by little he becomes more and more of a badass, which is fun for me. I get some really cool fight scenes, and the fight scenes you see toward the end of the show and end of the season are ridiculous. Ridiculous. There's so much
Robert
fun.
pulled out all the stops on the finales.
The finale is going to be awesome. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think Freddie's development of his character is coming together really nicely.
For Seth, I mean, I loved. I gotta be honest. Like when we shot the first season, I just as a fan, and from when Robert gave me the scripts, I knew who this guy was. I knew what his demons were. I knew what the problems were. I knew what I was gonna try and play, and I was really excited about it. And then obviously, at the end of the first season, when we split Seth and Richie together, that's a huge. They're one person. They're just two. They're the worst codependent relationship you've ever seen in your life. This is like a sick codependent romance movie about two brothers, basically. So it was very well defined for me in the beginning, and then in the second season, when we start with them split, when I saw how broke Seth was, that's when the writers wanted to start there. At first, I didn't like it. To be honest with you, I was like, this can't be right. Seth's a control freak. He would never go this far. But after looking at it and reading and talking to everybody, I was totally wrong. Like it was a great place to start, because that's all he has in the world is his brother. And no matter how much he messes things up for him or screws it up for him, it's half of him. So it was really great to just cut this guy in half and see what is this, the P.T. Barnum vaudevillian like guy in front. What does he look like when he's completely given up? So it was really, really fun to start him from nothing and then watch him kind of what he had to do to rebuild himself and discover why he lives and what is important to him. So it's really fun. It was really fun to play.
All right, gentlemen, I need to take you two.
Okay.
Oh, to answer your question,
That's easier.
to answer your
Like, I
question,
would
Brandon,
bend
I'm
over the
full of
table, but I
caffeine
am
right now, and I'm good.
Are you hyped up?
Yes.
Sweet.
Super fun.
I'm pumped too. We're just high off life
Alrighty.
Are we?
and a lot of other things.
And Riblin. Just kidding. Don't do drugs, kids.
Let's do this.
All right, so you two are another sibling tandem in the show. We're kind of starting your seasons a little separated. How are your characters season 2 being
Apart.
being apart?
Well, he's on a chain and leash, so I don't think he's handling it quite as well.
I get out of there eventually,
Yeah.
though, but I'll do okay in a bit. Just keep watching.
Yeah. I mean, I think for my character, I've lived such a sheltered life. Kate was such a sheltered girl. She lived in Bethel Baptist. She's the preacher's daughter. So for this season, for her to be living with a criminal, I think it's different for her, and I think she's so out of her element, and she's kind of deciding that she doesn't want to just live in this life. She needs to go find her family. And that's where you see our characters. Me and Seth are kind of holed up, and we've been through the same thing in season 1. We both lost our brothers. We both had our world shattered by seeing Culebras. And yet he chooses drugs, and I'm like, no, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to find this bitch right here.
Ouch. But,
Love you little...
Anyways, so my character, he gets what he's been asking for, the whole time. If you're following on season 1, he keeps saying, oh, I'm trying to find my own path. I want to find my place in the world. I want to get power. He's actually, there's a little bit of him that seeks that darkness, because there is darkness in my character a bit. Not necessarily a bad guy, but he craves that, in a sense. And, even though he's not in the best position in, the beginning of the season, he's kind of exactly what he asked for. He's just in that position. And, he'll slowly climb up among the ranks. And we'll just see where that takes my character.
I mean, we had that moment where Carlos looks at him and goes, oh, I would hate to be on your lacrosse team.
He touched me in this little static shock, actually.
Yeah. Well, there's always static shock with you and Wilmer.
Exactly.
So much energy.
So what can you tell about working with Robert?
What can we tell about Robert?
I can't tell anything.
We're under contract. I'm just he is snipers are efficient.
Yeah. Lasers.
He's the best. He's such a great guy on and off set. He makes you feel like you're a part of the Rodriguez family, and it's nice to be.
Yeah. He's just like Father Rodriguez. He invites us over to his place. He makes us food.
We make pizza.
He's a great chef, by the way. Robert's a great chef.
Not to add to his list of things that he's incredible at: directing, composing, editing, cooking, being a father. It's just he makes you feel like you're 10 times better than you ever thought you could be. You know that when you're working with Robert, that he will not let you fall, and he won't make you look bad. You can try something super crazy, and he'll be on the floor yeah, it looks really good.
I mean, he makes her feel good, but on the other hand, I feel like an extremely insufficient human being, because he can just do so many things that I can't do, and it's just homie, slow down.
He's in between takes, playing his guitar and singing to us.
He's too cool, man.
Yeah, he's come over and play the guitar with us. Brandon's I can't.
But he's actually really impressive. He does everything. So it's a blast.
Yeah.
So I feel like your character came into its own, and then Kate's character, she went from 0 to 180 from sheltered girl to vampire slayer. What's the next incarnation of her that you're hoping to find?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you what
It's
happens.
tough.
That was so hard.
A lot of
It's
stuff
so
happens to
tough.
her.
So much stuff happens at the end of the season, and I think this season was all about overcoming differences. I mean, you had Seth kind of talking about Cowboys and Indians, how much he hates the Calavers, and Kate kind of being like, I know they're different, I know they're bad, but I want to understand them, and I want to be there for my brother. So this season is all about reconnecting family. And I mean, I know you see the darkness like right at episode 5 when I just kind of lose that faith in him. I think it's also about loss of innocence, and my character definitely loses some of the light in her eyes. You know, it's
She sees some dark stuff.
well, I mean, you know, I think she keeps her faith for a good portion of the first season and the second season, but I think this is kind of breaking her, the losing her brother and her dad, and I
Seeing
think
the stuff that he's doing.
having to try and kill him, and I don't know what I want to happen to my character, because I think it's so amazing that we get to grow and experience what our characters are experiencing as we get the scripts throughout the season. And I have no idea where she's going to go next season. I have no idea. It's kind of crazy to me. They don't even give us hints.
Yeah. Exactly.
They don't.
They really don't, no.
We get the scripts and we're like, oh my, what?
I gotta do that?
Huh?
Let's work with that.
Oh, that's, no.
But it's always really exciting to see it. Like, we get so much cool new stuff to work with. Like, our characters are anything but flat. Like, they take so many changes throughout, like, the season.
We're such rounded, that's what I love about being on this show, is that I feel like each character is such a rounded character. You get to see into our background, you get to see what we're feeling, and you're experiencing it with us. So I can't tell you what I want to happen to my character, but I can tell you that I think whatever does happen, it's gonna be unexpected.
Yeah. For sure.
Thanks for your input.
That's all I have to say on that.
Yeah.
Your characters got pushed through some really dramatic changes in like a really pretty fast amount of time, and I was curious if you guys were sort of treating that like a metaphor for coming of age, because you're like, you know, the two kid characters who are growing up on the show, and just, you know, there's a loss of parents there. Like, is it a metaphor at all?
I feel like for both of our characters, like even in real life, at this point in our lives, being young adults, it does consist of a lot of changes, a lot of growing up, and a lot of like really finding yourself and a lot of transformation. So like, I guess that is kind of a metaphor for like growing up, like kind of like becoming a more condensed version of who you're meant to be. So like, yeah.
I think each episode that we're in kind of shapes our character, shapes our, and by character I mean like who we are fundamentally as people. And I think this show is so great because it takes these people, I mean, I'm a preacher's daughter, he's a preacher's son, and we're literally thrown into the pit of hell. And I think that's a metaphor for showing that like it kind of puts your faith on the ringer and like puts it through this great strain. And I think Kate goes through the season and she keeps her faith, but it might not be so towards the end of the season. And so I guess that could be a metaphor for loss of innocence and coming of age, as you said, because it's showing how people react to these terrible things that happen, like loss and having your world shaken and torn apart.
And as my character did have a lot of like a streak of rebellion in him, he didn't want to like go to church probably that much. He didn't want to like be goody singing church songs around a campfire and stuff. Like he wanted to be his own guy. He never really fully embraced his like religious side.
Well, you never had the chance to be who you truly were, because like when you came into America, you were 8 years old.
And I was thrown into a Catholic family.
Yeah, thrown into like this white Christian family.
Completely foreign to
where
like
your
what I'm
little
used to.
sister's like, I don't like you. You're gonna be Scott
She hated me.
June. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting because you kind of see these people who, I think this is who they're truly meant to be. They kind of started off as maybe who they weren't supposed to be, and this is who we're supposed to be.
We're on our paths.
Yeah, that's what the show's about. It's about these paths that we have no idea that we're supposed to be on, and yet somehow it all just kind of, it's fate, and we have no control over it.
Going into season 2, after the arc of season 1, Are you excited to see your characters progress in the way that they have so far?
Oh yes.
Were there any specific challenges that you felt?
I mean, you go.
Challenges that I've felt. I'm gonna mull over that for a second.
Okay, then I'll go.
And you go.
A lot of challenges actually, because I think
I mean, both of our characters kind of go through like an emotional roller coaster in terms of the stuff that they have to tackle. Like really, really intense situations that they get thrown into. So that in itself, like just doing that is a challenge, like just being an actor, having to like hit all those different levels like simultaneously.
And I feel like Kate really has the capacity to fall into that whole damsel in distress trope, you know? And the whole her being the helpless little girl that can't do anything for herself. And this whole season, I've been so proud of the writers and just of me even, like that we haven't let her fall into that helpless growth. And I feel like all the women on this show are just so strong. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy that even though we're going through these things and we need the help of others, we're not helpless.
Yeah, if anything, all the men are just in shambles.
Yeah. If
Like,
anything,
we don't got our shit together.
Seth, look at Seth. I was basically nursing him.
Yeah, he's looked to the needle for like his support. If you guys have seen that.
If you have.
We have.
Sweet.
So tell me about what I've noticed. The wardrobe has changed for you guys in recent episodes. Like you're wearing more looser clothing because you're vampire slaying, and I noticed how the way you jacket and the sword. I've noticed how it resembles something like Vampire 13 with Blade. I was wondering, was there discussion about that?
Oh, absolutely. I think my wardrobe change is a huge reflection on like the internal changes happening with my character. Like he's wearing dark because he's getting darker. He's got the machetes because now he's ready to like mess stuff up. Like yeah, like the streamlined boots and everything is all very combat based because that just shows that he's getting into a more like high octane lifestyle.
I mean, I get a crossbow.
She gets a freaking crossbow.
A crossbow.
Yeah.
I mean, Nina, our wardrobe director, she is so incredible because she really does put time and thought into what this means for our characters, because clothes are such a huge part of your character. Because if I was running around in a prom dress, people would be like, that's not
Doesn't make
quite
sense.
right. And so we really did have discussions about where we wanted our characters to go. And I think in the beginning of the season, we still wanted me to kind of have elements of who I was last season. You know, still covered up, and I have the cross. And even when I turn into my vampire slayer with the black jacket and the black and the boots, and I still have the cross. And I think that's definitely a choice to kind of show that I'm still holding on to that last bit of my humanity.
And I really appreciate what Nina does, because I think that like wardrobe, in terms of like the whole story and the plot, wardrobe is a pretty like underrated part of the story, and like she really puts a lot of thought into it.
Well,
Like
it's like you said, his outfit shows the journey that he's going on. And I mean, it seems like such a small part of it, but I think if he wasn't in what he was wearing, it wouldn't have the same effect. So go Nina.
Go Nina, go Nina. Shout out to Nina.
Shout out Nina.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. So there's been a lot of talk, especially lately in media, about diversity in television and film media. How does that play into From Dusk to Dawn, especially with it having such a large representation of Latino, both on screen and off screen?
Well, that was intentional. I mean, I kind of, this thing was part of what I do since I started with Desperado. I found I had to just kind of make my own stars, because there wasn't Latin actors that were given jobs that you could even go cast that people would find bankable. You had to kind of give them opportunities. Bring Antonio from Spain, great Salma Hayek, and give Danny Trejo every movie possible so he became a star. You know, so that you would have a star system. And when I had the idea, to do this network, I thought, oh, this is a continuation of that, but now we can do shows, and we can train people behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, especially behind the camera. That's really where you move the needle, because then they can go and write and direct and produce features or television shows, whatever, that are very authentic in the storytelling and that are true to themselves. So it just fit in, and that's really why I picked Dusk Till Dawn as the first show to do, because I knew it would have a really multi-ethnic cast, be able to have a predominantly diverse writing room and directing room, and really move the needle to where representation on prime time on a regular network is 2 or 3%, even though you're 17% of the country. On our network, it's 60 to 70%. I mean, it gets like full really quickly when that's your mantra and that's sort of the way you do business and kind of what your goal is. That was really what my goal was. That was the only reason I didn't build the network. I wouldn't have done it just to have more shit to do. I got enough stuff going on. I wanted to just have something that would really be able to pull voices from the audience and train whoever they may be, people who can come in and learn the craft.
Watching the TV show, it seemed like we were able to really expand the world, dig deeper into it. So I'm wondering, is there any other things that you think the same thing, dig deeper, and then it kind of expand the world to dig deeper?
I mean, there's ones you probably could do it with. We actually have some ideas for some future shows that are more original ideas that aren't based on movies, but that actually are strong enough to compete movies. So it could be something where we do a movie knowing we're already going to do a TV series. But if I had to, like, if that was just we decided let's just do another series. Well, you could do Machete, you could do Sin City, you could do Desperado. A guy with a guitar case full of guns and open downtown. But not currently thinking that because I have some other original ideas that I think are really exciting. But yeah, I think those would work. Yeah, I have some movies ideas for her, but also I would love to get her into Dusk Till Dawn and one of the Lords or something. Really would love to see. Not to write it first and then try to get her to do it. She would be great if she came back to that world. But no, she's terrific. And I just saw her again recently. She's producing, doing her own stuff. She's fantastic. For the network, the plan is just to keep growing. We're in 40 million homes now, which is a lot, but we can grow to 60. And then get some of the digital, build up our digital side too for people who don't have traditional network cable. And just keep creating more shows. We have some more new shows for next year in mind already. It's fun. Have you seen The Director's Chair? It's a TV show I have where I interview other directors. It's a fun show. The best one's coming up is the one I did with Stallone. It's freaking awesome. You would not know. You watch it, it's so inspirational and moving. And I've been showing it to people and they're like, I think people are really going to like that one. It's really surprising. It's really, really good.
Looking at the series from Pillars, it seems to make a commentary that religion lost its in current times. Is that intentional or was it casualty of the script?
We kind of laced that in from the beginning. We wanted to have a character, because that was part of the original character that Harvey Keitel played. And we just wanted to push everything further. We thought this is a TV series. Let's really develop these storylines. Like, interesting things can happen if this very religious family goes into hell. What happens when they come out of hell? So we play with that a lot. And you haven't seen the rest of the season yet, but you'll see some things without giving anything away that will make you be excited for a third season.
Was there a specific purpose for that?
Just very interesting character stuff. We have people who have core beliefs that are completely counter to what they're going to encounter. And it's interesting. It builds conflict and you have to side.
Concept you've done, and now you have room to explore the ideas that were originally there, and probably time to have examined them since the beginning. I read that you were doing a lot more research and you're coming across just things in mythology that sort of fed into what you were working with. I was just curious if you had already written anything and then kind of discovered it was already sort of true extant, like, you know, almost like a prophetic kind of.
We found stuff that felt like it aligned so well with what we were doing that it felt like it was meant to be. You know, some of it we had planned ahead of time and thought, well, if there's nothing we can find in mythology that fits this, we'll just make it up. But we found a bunch of things. I mean, that was, you know, my showrunner and my writers knew that that's kind of how I did the first film. Quentin it was just set in a bar in Mexico. It wasn't it was a vampire bar. It wasn't a temple or anything. I added all that in to try to find something so it wouldn't just be like European vampires, but like Mexican vampires or Mayan or Aztec. So I started looking at mythologies to find anything that would, and I found this sort of snake cult and built it from there. That's why the Salma character is the only one in the original film that had sort of a snake motif. Because of that I found, and we just made it more consistent, you know, when we did the series. So they're saying culebras, snakes.
As you're walking, you know, into season 3, is it getting to be like, oh, now we almost have too much we want to get to, or is it sort of like it's finding its direct path? Like, is it forging its trail, or is it hitting open expanse?
No, it's good. I mean, it's so great we have so many characters too. You would think that would be, you know, a goal of a TV shows to have as many characters to tell as many stories. And ours, we kind of had a bunch of characters already from the very first season. We've only added to it, so there's a lot to work with and a lot of things to kind of maneuver around. So we're in a really good place as far as having plenty to fill up a 10-episode season with.
The Santanico character, she was very striking in the original film, but there wasn't as much to explore with her as you're doing with the series. Did you already have in place ideas for her whole backstory? Was that something that was an original concept back during the time of the film?
Originally, she was called White Death. It was just, Quentin actually had in mind Madonna, casting Madonna as White Death. She was just someone who came out and she killed everybody, and then she got killed right away. And I said, you know, we can really do something more. It's set in Mexico. We should make her actually Mexican. And I just worked with this girl in Desperado. So he rewrote it for Salma and called her Santanico. And I added the snake dance because I wanted to use the snake thing in this. I knew we didn't really have room for mythology like the series does. But I tried to just stick it in there to kind of just have this shot pulling back of a temple at the end. That wasn't in the script. I added all of that to kind of just make it feel like there was more of a historical context to it all. And just as a texture. And so when she got killed, even though she was written that she got stabbed and she disappeared, I told her to go ahead and just smile as she disappeared so we think that she wasn't really dead. And she does this little, you notice Salma gives sort of this little knowing smile as she disappears. In my mind, that's not how she's going to die. She shouldn't live forever. But maybe she tricked the gods or something, I don't know. But when we got through the TV series, or now we can really make her a main character. Because I really loved how when Quentin got into the bar, she zeroes in on him, like they had a connection. So I wanted to start the connection sooner and make it more, you know, that's the whole season 1 is a very different retelling of the film to take advantage of these characters that feel too soon, you know. So we really wanted to build a series around these characters. And so that wasn't intentional when I made the film, but later, the more I would see that movie over the years, I go, I wish there was more between these two characters, Richie and Santanico. Those are really interesting. And that's, of course, what the whole series is based on now. So it's fun when you go back and get to remake something that you've already made, because you get to do it better the second time, because you like the things that you didn't take advantage of, you take advantage of.